Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So taking a deep dive into the big man's bag today, what's in the bag stroke why in the bag.
Right.
I don't think we're ever going to do you justice to say this is what you use. We've got to talk because you've got so many unique needs in terms of the 14 clubs you put in there.
And challenges.
And sometimes more than 14 clubs because, you know, round to round you're switching certain things out. We really have to go into what you have and why you have it.
Yeah.
Right? The first thing that you guys will know, and if you don't, you'll find out soon, Drew has exceptionally high club head speed. About mid 130s with the driver, can go up a little bit if you're pushing yourself, but you would game yourself around 135, 137.
Yeah. So
that's a golf course speed.
If I'm comfortable, if it's warm, 135 to 140.
Right
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay. And guys, this is a fascinating one. Drew and I talk equipment a lot, and Drew has some very unique preferences for somebody of his speed. You do not fit the mold of the fast, strong, you know, quick, you know, golfer.
Yeah. So like the common themes are go shorter, go heavier, go stiffer. And I tend to go longer, softer, and lighter for whatever reason.
You're the outlier.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's my swing, maybe it's my preference or what I grew up with.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a feel.
But we'll dive into more about that as we go and as we talk about different profiles. But let's start with the big dog up at the top end. You are currently in a tour head. See the little cross there by the loft. You're in is that a 2-degree sleeve or a 1.5?
I think that's only a 1.5.
1.5. So you're in an 8-degree head turned down to 6.5.
Yeah, and I'd love it to go lower.
Yeah, you're looking for as low as you can get really with it. Stealth plus weight neutral. Talk to me about it. What has it done for you from what you came out of?
So I was like you, Sim 2, then the Stealth.
Yeah.
The biggest change I've seen personally is that the mishits, spin rates, launch angles, and sort of dispersion is just much better.
Tighter.
Yeah. So like I would heel one and it'd spin up like a 1,500, 2,000 RPMs.
Right.
This just seems to be a bit better.
Yeah. Guys, at Drew's speed, everything is magnified. Misses are magnified in terms of the spin, increases, just everything is so much more exaggerated. The misses, the curvature.
Yeah.
Your margins are tight.
Yeah, and the hang time, so like anything that gets offline and gets up in the air, I hate. Mm-hmm. So like I'm just trying to keep the ball down. I'd like to get it running.
Yeah.
I can hit it high if I want to.
Of course.
So like if I'm on Torrey Pines, where it's wide open, it's long, things change. I hit it harder, I swing faster. Mm-hmm. But basically I'm just trying to get the ball down somewhere on the golf course.
Right. Very interesting. And that's where set composition is very, very important. It is for every golfer, but Drew has an advantage, but he also knows that distance can, as much as it be a strength, it can be a weakness.
Presents its own problems.
It really does.
Yeah, big new bag of problems.
Yeah. But I think when it comes down to the driver, if possible, this is a superpower for you in the bag. This is something you have that, some people can work in their short game, get a little better. There's not many people will ever sniff 135 club head speed.
Yeah, and when I'm playing well, swinging well, and feeling good, that's the thing that makes my round go from around par to...
Right.
I mean, it can be a driver 8-iron into a 560-yard par 5. Like, I mean, it can be change golf courses completely.
Let's talk a little bit about LA golf.
Yeah, so it's been a fun... So, what do you want to call that? Disclaimer, Bryson sent me a set of shafts, so... Lucky to get them for free, but then that just opened the door to really enjoying them, and it's worked its way through the entire bag. Yeah. Wedge to putter to woods and irons.
You're such a unique, call you, not to, make you into some object, but you're such an interesting test case to give you a new product, to see fluctuations. When we worked together, we had you in Project X 7.0, 130 grams, stiff, interesting shaft profile. What you play now, very different.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a video on that.
Yeah.
Your graphite versus steel and
10 grams lighter.
Completely changed your ball flight.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. So DJ shaft, the DJ profile, a little softer in the handle, stiffer in the tip section. It's not a stiff feeling shaft, and that's to your preference.
Yeah, so you would think I'd play the Bryson shaft,
yeah.
the rigid control, but I hit this straighter, I hit it better, it's got better launch conditions.
Yep.
and it just feels very comfortable. So
Definitely.
it doesn't feel like I've got to manhandle it. Feels like I can just swing it like a normal club.
One thing I found when I was working with Drew was I always had to give you something to feel.
Yeah.
When you swing the golf club, Drew needs to know where the club is by loading, and you had to feel sensations in order to be consistent with it. Some people have preferences to not feel anything, and that's when we go lower torque and we stiffen things up a little bit. But you're a very timing-based player, and you need to know where that golf club is in order to time it. And to do that, you actually need to feel that shaft. It's not it's not overly stiff.
No. I think people who try it expect it to be like this rigid thing, but really, like I waggle test it, and it's soft. You can, and I like that. Like you said, I can feel it load, and I kind of have a sense of where things are.
Right. Little higher balance point on the DJ profile suits the fact you play at 46 inches.
Yeah.
We've got a Tour Velvet mid-size in there, built up some extra wraps.
I think there's 3.
3 wraps. Let's have a little peek under there. Yeah. So there's the third wrap is actually up in there. So there's 2 in the bottom, and then there's 1 more in there. So 3 wraps on a mid-size. Again, a little additional weight. It's going to change the balance point. The additional length is adding 5 to 6 swing weight points. You're wrestling some of that back with the weight of the grip, with the shaft being counterbalanced. Comes out to D5 for you and the driver. Very nice balanced overall driver.
Yeah. And so like the problems for me arose, I think, when I dipped into long drive.
Right.
And the head weights are 184 grams.
Yep. Trying to manage the 4 to 8.
Yeah, and so clubs. I got really used to odd golf clubs. So now these softer sort of flexes feel very nice.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, we'll probably talk a little bit about in other videos. We're going to have Drew in the podcast. We'll talk about your dive into long drive. Something that was kind of, almost, brought upon you by some of the work you were doing with Dana Dahlquist in your swing. I know our great friend Scott Cowkes had encouraged you to go and do that while you can.
Yep.
Long drive isn't something that's available forever.
Yeah. No, I'm an old guy for long drive. I'm 36 and, competing against guys out of college.
Sure.
Guys who just stepped away from Major League Baseball. So
absolutely.
I'm an old man with 2 kids.
But who can compete at that top
but it's
level?
been a blast. Yeah. Finished 3rd and 8th, and the only 2 I've done. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. You do not carry a fairway wood. You carry a mini driver as your second club in the bag. 11.5. Again, turned down to 9.
Yeah.
This is your fairway wood.
It's my fairway wood, but it's also the thing when you say 4 to 5 drivers around. Yeah. This is the driver.
Right.
So this is the one that launches with a little more spin. It doesn't launch as high as a 3 wood. It's a smaller head, so I can tee it down, keep it low. It just feels like it's a fairway finder.
Right.
Short. I think it's 44 or 44 and a quarter.
44 and a quarter. Yep.
Yep. So it's like my driver when things matter.
Shaft in this guy, super premium. Many of you will be seeing this for the first time. We just got one last week. We started testing with the LA Golf G Series shaft. Super premium. And there's materials in there that are significantly expensive. It's going to come with a price tag over $1,000. It's going to get hit retail at. But this is an amazing feeling golf shaft.
Yeah, so it's another one that fits me oddly because it's 75 grams, I believe.
Yep.
I think it's like a stiff to extra stiff profile, but it's very smooth. Like loads very smoothly, but very stable.
Right.
So I don't know why that is, but it launches and spins beautifully. It just has that little lighter, little effortless feel when I swing it.
Yeah. So this is when you need to get it out there, 325.
Yeah, 300 to 325.
Yeah, that's when you lean on this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Currently in the bag, we have the Sim UDI.
Yeah.
This one's got a bit of a, it's not, we would say in Scotland, it's on a bit of a shaky peg. It means it could be pulled down and out the bag at any point.
Very quickly. So this is going in for a specific golf course that has golf holes that are like maybe 275 to 300 yards that are par 4s. So it's a fun little golf course, and this thing is, if the wind is correct, is a fly onto the green club. It makes its way out of the bag very quickly because it's sort of an odd one for me. I kind of don't hit it super far, and I kind of don't hit it really low. So it's an interesting one, but it works for this course.
Right. Mitsubishi MMT 100 gram TX in the matte finish, which is the indication that it's a parallel shaft 370. Very interesting. I can see why you carry this type of club, but I know you were saying, you're not sure whether it's going to stay in the bag. It could be one that you chop and change. This is kind of your 15th club right now.
Yes, yeah. So it comes out real quick.
Yeah.
Again, it's just for this course. I've got a 790 that'll go in quick.
Right.
But as we get into long irons, we'll kind of talk about the long set, the long end of the bag.
For sure. We carry 3 to 9 iron in the P7 MBs. Gorgeous blades.
Love them.
When we worked together, we had you in 730s, which again were a beautiful iron. Talk to me about these guys.
Yeah, so this is just kind of like from a club head perspective, is just like home. It's sort of like I've played Titleist 681s, 680s, grew up on Ben Hogan and Wilson Staff blades.
Yep.
So it's just sort of like what I'm used to. It's what I prefer. And they seem to flight it a little lower. That might just be in my brain, but there's just like a comfort with them.
Well, I think that the combination, and guys, if those of you who follow the channel regularly, and we've done a video recently with Mikey on some of the more popular shafts in the industry right now, and for Mikey there wasn't much change. We're going to do a video on the same thing with Drew today, talking about some steel profiles versus graphite. We're going to see some wild things in that video with you, because your delivery completely changes when you go from different profiles.
Yeah, and so this is, I haven't said much. Like, people have asked for videos on numbers, and I've seen some wild numbers with these LA Golf shafts. I never know if they're real, so like I can't explain them, so I just kind of stay away from it. But they've been sort of game-changing in terms of controlling the ball when I'm actually playing golf.
And when we talk about shafts changing, ball flights for people, guys, please understand that shafts do not change ball flights significantly. What they can is influence the player to deliver the golf club in a different way that can change the ball flight. It's ultimately the player that will influence the launch and spin characteristics. The amount of deflection between one shaft to another, if you're in the right weight and right flex, is going to be so minimal. But if we do certain things to change people's feels, we can change rates of rotation, we can bring angles out of the golf swing a little earlier, save them in for a little later. All those sorts of things that we always say to people. The club that fits the player the best is the one that has the most positive influence on the golf swing itself. It's not necessarily, a kick point of this and a kick point of that. That's why it's a timing device.
Yeah, so again, it's just a perception thing. No different than struggling with the Bryson driver shaft.
Yep.
I struggle with the stuff that is built for the stronger swingers in the irons as well.
And you guys could probably, for the most part, gap off one another. I mean, swing speed wise and stuff like your gamer. So I know you've had some conversations with him, in the DMs and stuff like that. Like, what's your ball speed with this club and what's your this with that. But you guys are going to go about your business totally differently.
Way differently. Yeah, he's definitely a harder hitter of the irons.
Yeah.
I tend to hit irons very normal lengths, just from comfort. I think it's just all how I learned how to play, how my dad taught me. So it's just kind of what I'm used to.
And also your equipment, like your lofts are 1 degree strong. Your lie angles are 2 degrees upright. Bryson's are super upright, obviously very one strong. Length, very strong. Yeah. So he's going at everything with that kind of pretty much full tilt mentality. When you hit, your flighted iron shots, talking about compression, you've got the kind of shaft and forward deflection, forward lean, making sure that we've got that dynamic loft turned down, so you're never exposing the spin of the golf ball.
And that's how I do it. I just lay off, compress, and sort of hit them low.
Love it.
And I hit those as far as like a full tilt swing. They just go way higher.
So 2 degrees upright and 1 degree strong. You move into a specialist wedge in your pitching wedge, the MG3. 46 with 9 degrees of bounce. How's this?
I had never used a specialty wedge in my life, and it's worked out fantastic. So it comes out much flatter than what I'm used to, and it's been great.
I mean, the guys in that, again, we've talked enough about center of gravity and where we want to place it to drive that ball flight down. You want that CG moving up. That encourages the strike to tilt the head in a way which is going to benefit your ball flight. By moving the center of gravity up, contact will cause the head to tilt down, launch will come down, spin will come up, will increase friction. We'll get the exact same basically model of wedge, same bounce in the 50, same idea?
Same exact idea.
Deal. And are these lengthwise?
They're all the same.
Same length?
Yeah, they should be from pitching wedge down.
Exactly.
Should all be the same.
Love that for someone like yourself.
Okay. And again, that came about from you years
we've done a
ago.
little bit of that in 2018.
Yeah, and I told you, like, I really feel uncomfortable over my short clubs.
Yeah.
It just feels like I'm hitting a kid's club.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, just make them all same length. I just kind of
Yeah.
thought it was a silly, why have I never thought of that moment?
Right.
But it's been great since.
Good, good. Into two high toes. When I grab someone's wedges that have a finish on them, like the bronze finish, the first thing I do is grab the sole and go, okay, where's he using on the sole? So when I looked at your 56 and 62, you know, that was the interesting thing about that. I asked you the question, was that ground away? Because it goes from the lovely bronze at the back to pure silver at the front. Tells me the amount of lean that you put on the wedges, even when your pitching's a lot. So how the sole contours, how the front of it is, the leading edge, all those things are vital to you because that's the bit you're using. You're really not using much of back here unless you're laying it wide open.
Right. And some of that comes from, I think, my fear of hitting balls high.
Yeah.
That when I hit a 60 from the fairway, I'm just trying to get it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Talk to me about high toe. How long have you been in them?
Since they came out.
Really?
Yeah.
You've loved them?
Loved them.
Shape and
so
everything's good?
It started with me because I got sort of into the higher mass, lowering the ball flight.
Yep.
Again, I don't know enough to say that's true, but I've become sort of a fan because I have enjoyed like the full toe, the full grooves, the high toe to sort of hit bunkers and flop shots.
Yep.
It's been great.
Talk to me about the swag putter. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's been
Beautiful.
great. I've been trying to get my hands on one for, gosh, a couple years when they do their releases. It's a great shape for me. It reminds me of, again, stuff I grew up with.
Yeah.
Very classic, very cool.
Very Newport in the bumper shape and things
It's
like that.
very clean.
Yeah, really, really nice. P-Series LA Golf putter shaft in 135 grams. You know, is this something that you've had in the bag for a while, the graphite, or fairly new?
Brand new. So this is, what, a week or two old?
Wow.
Yeah.
That new?
Yeah. And I didn't know if I was going to do it. So it came with a steel shaft. I went to LA Golf, and they ran me through some tests. I hit some putters they have there that are sick putters, steel and graphite, and I love the feel.
Yeah.
So it took a head that had a lot of, you know, on purpose, swag makes like a very firm, lightly milled, responsive face.
Yep.
And this just gave it like just a touch of muted thump instead of like a ting.
Yep.
And I love it, yeah.
Just muted the sound enough. Iomic grip on there, very standard size. Again, feels good, comfortable with all that.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
And that's actually new though. So I kind of went from normal grips to real big grips. And then now I've kind of gone back to smaller grips just for it to feel.
Right. What do you feel like is missing in the bag right now? What can we, what can we discuss that's helpful?
Yeah, so the hard part for me is the top end being loose enough. So like, should I drop a 3-iron or a 2-iron? And like, how do I space out the top end to be useful, but add more precision or more clubs to the low end?
Right.
So the amount of 4-irons and 5-irons I hit, I may hit like 10 a year.
Yeah.
Like it's just rare. But I'm always needing them because I hit 2s and 3-irons off the tee. So it's like, how do I get like something other than a wood in my hand off the tee, but still have a playable set?
Totally.
That's, the challenge.
Have you done much with Arcos?
A little bit, but my Arcos data is always crazy because I'll hit a 6-iron from 190, 200, 210, 220.
Yeah.
And it just kind of is like, well, what do I actually hit it? And it's sort of very dependent on wind and grass and feels. And so I struggle to get good data because I'll hit an 8-iron again through, 160 to 200.
Interesting. It'd be cool to kind of run through Arcos with those guys and kind of how they would sort of set it up for someone like you and how we would map the outliers. And I mean, I know that they have the ability to go in and take out certain ones that are outliers. I mean, they have, their technology in there will sort through ones that don't seem normal.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of push them to the side. So I'd love to see some strokes gain data around the top end of your bag. I think that would be hugely insightful for you in terms of going to play certain courses and almost like having a PGA Tour caddy, by your side.
Yeah.
Let's look at golf ball. Chromesoft XLS.
Yeah. So I've got the new version and the old version.
Right.
The new one, I mean, so I love them. First of all, I've tried the Pro V1X Left Dash, TP5X, Pro V1X, the LS, and this is the one that's flown sort of I always say the flattest, the best through the wind.
Yep.
It seems as fast as anything else
sure.
I've ever tried.
That's what we found for sure.
And so it performs the best on course for me with the driver. So like I pick a golf ball differently. I pick it for the driver because my wedges are bad with everything. So I strengthen the stuff that I'm at least good at.
Yep.
So that's how I've achieved the sort of the LS.
Very cool. And yeah, I think in time that would be something, you know, when we get some more time to work together and have different golf balls for us to test, is seeing whether we can incrementally increase the strokes gained with the wedges with some golf ball focus stuff. Yeah. I can completely see why when somebody who hits it as high as you do in certain winds, you want something stable.
Yeah.
That's got to be the key for you. When that ball's up there at 135 feet, it's got to be going through a wind, not being up there and vulnerable to being blown about.
Yeah, and my thing in the wind is forward backwards dispersion as much as sideways.
100%.
So I can be 20 yards long, 20 yards short, just based on the ball floating or not. So that's the scary part for me with spin.
Very cool. Anything that you carry in the bag that's a nice, I mean, obviously you've got your tripod, a tripod for content, you've got anything for training aids or anything like that? Anything you keep in the bag just to keep you?
So I usually do. I usually keep my slingshot with me. I didn't bring it up here because I knew you had one.
Right.
So it would just save some space.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm not much of a training aid guy. I usually have the Pels putting plates with me.
Okay.
Because I would set them up in the hotel room.
Nice.
But again, for the travel, I just kind of cut everything out and traveled light. So
that's awesome. Well, that's what's in the bag. Let's hit a few. Let's hit a few and take a look at some of the numbers, and let's go start with the big stick.
Start with it.
You talked yesterday when we hit balls in the studio. For you, the driver is just a don't go left club.
Always.
Always.
Yeah. I never want to see it
peel a little bit.
I'm happy with it. I would prefer that over anything. But usually I'm trying to keep it as straight and flat as possible.
So 190 ball speed, 344 carry, 11.3 launch, and 22.89 spin. We'd be delighted with that. That's world class right there. 350 on the fly, 193, 10.8 launch, 18. I mean, you just turned that hair and the spin just, was probably a little worrying to your eye there when you saw it turn, but it stabilized.
And the start line was just left, which to me, like I look up, that's,
geez.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, like I'll take that miss
100%
all day.
And that's a little bit higher there, launched up at 12.8, 2300 spin, 340 carry. That's really nice there. Just pop the speed up just a little bit more there, 354 on the fly. I mean, I can see why, launch and spin is in a really nice window here. Not really fluctuating an awful lot.
No.
Very stable spin numbers here. World class. Let's have you hitting a couple of irons. Let's flight a few with the irons. Let's jump into 6 and see what we got. So you found that moving to the graphite LA golf shafts have brought your flight down.
Flight and spin, yeah. So it's been wild for me as a guy who would spin 6 irons 7,000, 8 irons 9,000.
Yeah.
Now I'm 6 irons 5,000.
5,000. Control and apex.
It's wild. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool thing with Drew is watching, guys, if we kind of, toggle back and forward here, we're seeing where Drew's placing the golf ball, and I'm seeing where the divot's coming out. Like it's 6, 7 inches out in front of that golf ball.
Yeah. So when I had a TrackMan, my low point was 7 to 8 inches forward.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool to sort of see that.
Not the world-class strike there, but
okay. And then into shows some wedge stuff. So as the part of the game that kind of needs
the most help.
Yeah.
All the time. Now, granted, I don't practice it that much, just out of sort of focusing on speed for the last year.
Of course. Yeah, look at that. 6,000.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like that's never.
That's what we were saying. Like the anything lofted, the face becomes so shallow
that it just slips
off the face.
Yeah.
And then the long iron has enough that it slips up, grips, and the last part is grip, and then the spin goes up.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good time to segue into range ball, wedge. Again, guys, if you've watched the channel for long enough, we spoke a lot about this, about the really not taking too much from your range sessions in terms of your ball flight. If the golf ball has no similarities to the one you actually play, use the warm-up as it's intended to warm up. Yeah. And then understand that you don't have to go out in the golf course and start changing things. Yeah. So we're going into a Pro V1. You know, we'll see that spin go from 6,300 probably here to 11,000. Yeah, somewhere around there. Beautiful. Doubled. 12,300.
Yeah, and much lower.
7 degrees less launch. So infinitely different ball flight, an ideal ball flight, really, really nice. And you know, ultimately that's not a luxury that the everyday golfer has, is to have a practice ball bag full of
beautiful balls, yeah,
Chrome Soft XLSs or Titleist Pro V1s, whatever that may be. So, you know, I think a little bit of understanding around that is got to go a long, long way.
Yeah, to me, like that knowledge of having a launch monitor and saying, okay, strike, start line, and warm up. That's it. That's all I worry about.
Vital. And clean grooves. We got to get those grooves nice and clean. Okay, so top to bottom, what's in the bag? A little bit of why in the bag. We've talked a little bit about Drew's needs. The graphite shafts, very interesting stuff. Drew does not like heavy, stiff, short.
No.
It's the opposite of what you like, but it's what everyone gravitates towards giving you.
And they think it's going to control things.
Yeah.
And I hit that 46 as straight as any club in my bag.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. It just feels right. It just feels
just
good.
What you can time.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit, and I think it was, again, the iron shaft video. We were comparing different iron shafts that all seemed to have the same launch and spin for Mikey, but ultimately he didn't feel them to be the same. It's not our job to put it on someone what they feel and what a shaft should do. And we're going to hit it and see. Yeah. You know, we're going to try and kind of recognize the patterns and what's going on. And ultimately for you, we know your game well enough to know that you do react really well when you can feel something that has a little bit of a softer feel, balance point a little bit higher, obviously the right length. On the TaylorMade ruler, you were saying these are around an inch longer. You know, the TaylorMade Tour ruler is a little different from the USGA ruler. So for us, that was closer to kind of actually just under 3/4.
Yeah, okay.
So we built kind of a club. We're going to do a comparison of steel versus graphite for Drew, just to show how different that shaft kicks for you.
Yeah, but that's also the benefit, like the reason I came to you in the first place was not just the knowledge, but the fact that I actually got to try everything.
That's right.
I can't tell you how many places I went where I couldn't try and I couldn't find the difference. I wouldn't know.
No, so. Exactly right, exactly. Yep. Well, thank you, kind sir, for taking us through the bag. I mean, it's a treat to look at a whole different set of circumstances, and you know, every problem, you know, there's a solution out there for it, but it's having the right places to find the solutions.
That's right.
And thankfully now that you're very much in this industry, it's kind of where you've thrown the anchor down.
Yeah,
you're going to have a lot more solutions coming your way.
It's been very lucky last year. It's been fun.
Love it, guys. Please, if you don't already do so, I mean, we've been talking about Drew and his game for a long time now. Follow Drew on social media. Most of your activities on Instagram at @D_Cooper86. Next Gear has its own.
At Next Gear Golf.
At Next Gear Golf has its own Instagram account. You're probably going to migrate to doing a lot more stuff towards that one rather than the personal ones.
Yeah. So, like, to be fair, like my profile will become sort of golf and fun.
Yep.
The Next Gear account will be all of like the information we do, like around training, golf, all that stuff will be more educational.
Love it. And this is part of a series, so if this is the first time you are seeing any of our videos with Drew, you're going to want to go and see some of the other ones that we've done with him. We referenced the training component in Drew's background and Drew's part in the business, Landon, and his incredible background, you know, from a knowledge-based standpoint. A really unique offering in the industry right now to have a team of experts around someone that's taking care of, you know, physical well-being, you know, from a diet standpoint, everything that's going to set you up to play better.
Yeah, so you've got a team of registered dietitian, exercise physiologist, doctorate of physical therapy, exercise psychology or sports psychology. Olympic thrower, MLB, like it's a great group of people.
Absolutely, and then obviously your experience from a playing perspective, from biomechanics perspective, a swing mechanics perspective as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think adding value in there as well is just tying the whole thing up.
Yeah,
It's
just
really,
wrapping
really
it up
cool.
into one service,
Yeah,
one
love
product.
that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Guys, hope you enjoyed this. I mean, watching Drew hit golf balls is always fun. When you see someone that has such a unique skill set, I mean, you just gravitate towards it. It's something that, I think as average golfers who hit the ball like most people do, when we see someone that has a skill set like yours, it's pretty captivating. And I think when we watch you hit drivers, and you're just going to stand there peeling them away at 350 yards carry, it's very unique. So we definitely appreciate Drew sharing that with us.
That's fun.
Really
Thanks
do.
for having me.
Okay. Guys, stay tuned for more with Drew. We'll see you again soon.